Okay, welcome back to Swans Cast, everyone, where we're going to move our attentions again to rugby. We're in a bit of a quiet week in terms of rugby. Obviously, it's the week gap in the Six Nations you get in between the midweek. I don't know what I'm saying.
Midweek.
Oh, God.
That's got to clip. That's got to go in.
Welcome back to Swans Cast, everyone, where we're going to be going back to the Six Nations this week. Obviously, we've got a weekend off from the rugby, but we're going to look back to the last game, which was Scotland against Wales, and look ahead to the next one, Wales against England. But before we do that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you do like what we're doing here. Leave a like on the video. It does massively support us. And let us know in the comments if you agree with what we're saying, what you expect to see in Wales versus England. Are we going to win? Is it going to be another red card? Let us know in the comments. And with that, we'll get straight into it. So, looking back to the last round then, guys. And I've got Lee and Alid with me this week as well. But looking back to the last game, so Scotland versus Wales up in Murrayfield, I don't think any of us expected it, really. I think we all said Scotland to win that match, but Wales actually won that match. So, positive result. But obviously, we'll talk about what happened in the game in a second. But Wales won 25-24. Very tight game. 1 point in it. Some of the key talking points then. Let's just address the elephant in the room from the start. Another red card. Are Wales becoming a team that can only win with red cards? What are we thinking then, Lee?
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard again. Like, I don't know where. It's hard to say where Wales are at the moment because of the two red cards. And I think we got out of jail again. Like, I know, even with the red card, it was another tackle last minute, wasn't it? That Van der Merwe was actually in, I think, because Rees-Zammit had slipped, and Owen Watkin sort of tackled him, and he was in. So really, really fine lines at international level. I think, like, we could have lost the Ireland game apart from Tipperick's tackle at the end, and maybe the kick to the corner, and then we could be sitting on 2 defeats, but we're sitting on 2 wins. It's really strange. So it's hard to really sum up where we are at the moment. I think the next game is going to be the big test.
Yeah, definitely.
But to get 2 wins on the board, I actually don't think we've played that well. But to get 2 wins on the board is class, because it just changes everything, changes optimism. You know, I'm more optimistic now because we've got 2 wins on the board. So we'll see what it brings now. So got out of the jail definitely again, but we'll take it.
Well, I've got down in my sort of key points list to address the Owen Watkins tap tackle, so we will look at that in a second. And you are right about the key game being against England, I think. To see where we are, I just want to say, though, I predicted us to finish 4th in the table. We've got Italy left to play. You'd like to think that we'll win that game. So 4th is very much on, or even higher, I think. A minimum of 4th, probably at this point, with 2 wins already on the board. I'm just going to put that in there. But anyway, yeah, the red card, Alid, and the game in itself then. What are you making of that?
To be honest, I can't believe we won. They looked so in control, and then it can't compare the 2 games with the red card situation, really, because Ireland was, quite early. What was it, 15 minutes in? Was it?
Yeah, it was very early.
Something like that. And then, this one's the 53rd. But there was a big difference in score in reality, wasn't it? It was like 18-3. No,
it wasn't. It was actually quite tight.
17-8. So yeah, okay.
Well, not tight,
but like doable.
Wales weren't. We went out of the game when Scotland had the red card. Scotland were on top, and I thought they would have gone on to win. But I think the start of the second half, we did look like we were going to try and come back into it. So I wouldn't say like we were out of the game at that point. I do think the red card lost Scotland the game, but I'm not saying we could not have won without it. I don't think we would have, but I don't think it was as clear cut as like we wouldn't have won.
No, the reason why I was thinking it was 17-3 or whatever I said was because I forgot Rees-Zammit scored in the 37th. Obviously before halftime. That was probably very big. That scraps their halftime talk.
Yeah.
I imagine. And probably completely changes ours, but it also probably changed our mindsets. This is very doable. We can get back into this. It's the same rule as what happened in the Ireland game.
Yeah.
believe. I think the Ireland game was probably a much clearer cut call.
But can I just confirm that before you move on? When the red card happened, the score was 17-15. It was tight at that point.
Because
so we were definitely not out of the game. No one can say for sure who would have won at that point. We were still definitely in with a chance.
It definitely swung in that first 10 minutes of the second half because it was 17-15, but just before Wales scored, Scotland had a try disallowed in the other end. Literally, we went down the other end then and scored, didn't we, when Liam Williams scored?
Yeah.
Make it close, and then there was the red card. I still think that if Scotland scored there, which they should have, I think it's game over then, because I think they would have gone on. They would have been a bit too far ahead. So, it swung massively in our favour just in 10 minutes. Just we went down the other end and scored, and then the red card, which was definitely a red card again. The rules, I know, like I agree with what you say, but the Omani one was probably more clear cut because he's got his arm like way out and it looks a bit thing. But I just don't get it harsh because he's had like a ban now as well, isn't he? But I don't get why people are still entering the ruck like that with their shoulders tucked in.
Yeah, so while we're on this point then, I just wanted to say on that matter, just to clarify, the try was disallowed for crossing, wasn't it, as well? The one that Scotland had disallowed, so obviously that could have easily been them sailing off into the distance with the scoreline. Didn't happen. We went up the other end and took advantage, I guess you could say. We were clinical and the red card happened and we were back in the game at that point anyway. But before we talk more on that, the red card, yes or no, was it a red card? A lot of people have said yes, a lot of people have said no. This one's probably been debated a little bit more than the one against Ireland by professionals as well and pundits. You hear a lot of different opinions. But the way I see it, and I think it's similar to what you just said, Lee, the rules have come in now. They've come in to protect head injuries. And when you look at the situation around that as well, there's been a lot of players that are coming out with illnesses and sort of things irreparable with them now in terms of brain injuries or stuff like that because of past head contacts in rugby. Obviously, they're the sort of injuries that only become apparent after a long period of time, which is why it's only now sort of becoming a big focus of trying to prevent that from happening, and concussions are increasing in the game. Obviously, being a professional sport is quite young as a professional sport, rugby, really, isn't it? Like, was it the 1990s even? Somewhere around there, I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Don't know the exact date, but it's quite young as a professional sport. So the hits have got bigger, the players have got bigger, the concussions have increased, and now we're seeing the results of that. So they've got to be seen to do something on that matter. What they've done is obviously these rules around the ruck is part of it. So they know what the rules are now, so they have to adapt their game to not be on the wrong side of the rules. That is the bottom line, really, and it's all for the benefit of themselves as players. I get why some past players will look at it and they think, oh, how can you do it without doing that, or that's harsh, or this, that, the other. The reason is because some of their ex-colleagues have now come out and, they can't remember some games that they played in as a result. So I don't really know what the solution is otherwise.
He's unlucky in a way in that one because I remember like Hogg is trying to pull Wyn Jones out of the ruck at the same time. So as he's turning him out of the ruck, he's coming flying in at force. And that's probably why he connects with his head, because as he's turning him, it's still frustrating that people still enter the ruck like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he tries to go low and wrap his arms, maybe it gets down to a yellow. Going flying in like that. You can't do it anymore.
It's the technique then, isn't it? So they know the new rules. The technique needs to adjust to make sure you don't fall foul of the new rules. And maybe that's
desperation.
It's a change of way the training of how to enter the ruck needs to be then, potentially from grassroots level to get to the bottom of the problem. Maybe that's the solution. And the other point I want to raise as well is, like, people have said, like, there was a lot of other hits to the head that are missed constantly in every game. There's been a couple that'll be mentioned in this game. I think maybe Liam Williams did one earlier on. I haven't seen exactly what it was, but you can't monitor every knock to the head. They've got to cut down what they can cut down. You're going to get some all the time in rugby. It's a contact sport. So the easy ones to cut out is when you're on the floor, everyone's going down low and making contact to the head that way. So you've got to cut out where you can and, help where you can in terms of the TMO scene things as well. But I think it's going to get worse in terms of stricter with head stuff as we move forward. So the more players can get used to what is there now, the better, really.
I spent 10 years playing rugby, and I don't think I ever saw anybody clearing a ruck like that. Personally, I might have just completely missed it or something, but I was never taught to ruck like that. We never go flying in. It was always, well, we would, but it wasn't just sort of no arms, just flying with a shoulder to clear out. We would grapple and roll, and I know that's one technique, and obviously the international stage is much bigger, but I don't know about you, Lee, when you played, but I don't think I saw that.
I think it's a bit different now, because I think like the jackling has just become massive, probably a bit after my time when I finished. The grass was it, but the jackal now has become massive. You look at like Jack Willis's injury for England. He's a ridiculous athlete because he's like massive, isn't he? But his balance is silly. Like he can keep his body weight like on his legs and almost be like flat while he's getting the ball. And that's what's caused his injury really, is because he can get into those positions. And you've got massive men getting into those positions. How do you get him away? How do you get him away safely? That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, that was a hard, nasty injury as well, wasn't it? It didn't look nice.
It's like desperation. Like the Italian player's gone in. There's no way for him to get under him because he gets in such a good position. So the only thing he can do is like twist him out because it's like desperation because he's going to steal the ball. It's the same with Ferguson for Scotland. Like they're about to lose the ball. He's there. He's like desperation, just clattering into the ruck. But that's the sort of stuff you've got to cut out really. But I think the breakdown is just massive at the moment. Like how you ref it, how you keep it safe. But yeah, I don't know. God knows the answer to it at the moment.
It's the $1 million question to try and stop these head injuries or the other type of injury, obviously, you just mentioned there. And no one's going to have the right answers. Like, people are going to disagree with what I've said, what you've said. It's hard. But at the end of the day, whatever comes in, it's got to be putting the players first because, they obviously know the risks. The past players are coming in and there's a lawsuit and it's complicated. So rugby has got to be seen to doing something on the matter. And I think everyone should be on board really with that. But we'll move on from the red card. Lewis Rees-Zammit's performance then, 2 tries, one of them again called try of the round. Very, very good finish, little chip kick. Something I think I've not seen enough of our wingers do in a while, stuff like that. Try and go on their own, not necessarily just run in it on their own, but I'm going to do a little chip kick and get on to the end of it. I don't recall anyone really trying that often for us of late, and ended up being very good, very successful try. So what do we think of Lewis Rees-Zammit?
Yeah, well, all the hallmarks for a world-class player, to be honest. But I'm going to try and pull back a bit because I know everyone's saying how class he is, and he is class, but I don't think much credit should be given to Pivot yet because I was crying out for him to start more in the autumn because he was doing that on a weekly basis for Gloucester. Yeah. I just wanted him to get some game time. And he was almost reluctant to play him all the time. I know we've got to ease him in because he's young and see what sort of finisher he is. And you've seen it last weekend, what he did. And I still think that if everybody was fit, he probably wouldn't have played him in the Six Nations. He would have played Josh Adams and Ian Williams and Halfpenny or North. And he probably wouldn't have even been on the bench. So I think, in a way, lucky we had the injuries that forced his hand to play him because now we can't drop him.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's undroppable now, isn't he, surely?
Yeah, he's absolutely class. He's absolutely lightning, and he's got the skills as well. So I don't understand why he was so reluctant to play him in the first place.
I don't know. What do you make of him, Aled?
I think Lee's absolutely right. I think he's probably lightning, like Lee said. His creativity, I think, was really good as well, especially with that chip. I don't remember the last person I've seen because North will just back himself and run.
Yeah, and run into people.
And he'll just try to overpower. Zammit obviously is.
He's more of a Shane Williams than a George North.
Yeah, he's very quick, fast feet, creative. I think.
I'm not saying in the same breath yet, by the way. Just putting that out there. It's early days. I'm not saying he can't get there, but it is obviously early days.
I think the only thing for me is maybe he's lacking a little in defense. But that's just inexperience probably on the international stage.
Yeah, that will come with experience.
So,
with age
exactly. But he's 20. Exactly. He's got the absolute potential to go mad.
And I don't know if either of you saw, but Eddie Jones has been talking about him this week, saying that he did give him a phone call before he played for Wales to try and convince him to gain residency in England, which would have taken, 4 or 5 years. And he tried to convince him to do that, but he said he just wanted to play for Wales, and it was a massive ask to get someone of that talent to just not play international rugby for that time. But can't believe he actually tried it, to be honest. But I guess you've got to try and get the top players.
I heard about that before, that he BOI basically called him, didn't he, to say what his situation was. He did the same with Sheedy as well, I think, because he can play for England as well. I think we're getting a lot of players like that because a lot of them go to, is it Loughborough College? Is it that one?
It's something like that.
Well, I think it's that one. But a lot is sort of based in that area, and you get a lot of Welsh players sort of pop up in Bristol and
on the border or something.
I mean, Rees-Zammit left to go to Hartbury College.
Hartbury, that's the one. Hartbury,
in Gloucestershire.
Yeah, Hartbury.
That's fine. We can keep pumping them out. I'm happy with that, and I'm happy when they turn down England as well. Just makes you feel a little bit better, especially when they become a very good player. Okay, Dan Biggar and Gareth Davies. Now, we touched on these in our last video. I criticised Dan Biggar, Aled criticised Gareth Davies, and they both got hooked 50 minutes. Are they finished in a Wales shirt? Well, maybe not finished, but is the time running out? Because I thought we looked a lot better when they went off. Like I said in the Ireland game, I just don't know. Biggar's not a bad player. He's had a really good Wales career, and he's been a good player, and I've enjoyed him in the past, and I've called for him to start in the past. But I'm just not sure what he's offering at the moment. He doesn't do his up and unders and win them back like he used to. He's not really created anything. He's missing kicks to touch when it's important. I think it's time to maybe give Sheedy a run up from the start. What do you think?
All of our scores did come after they went off.
Not all of them. We did score try before half time.
But did they actually have a part to play in that? I don't know. I can't remember. But I don't know. Biggar, he's got a lot of experience on the international stage, which is, in a way, it reminds me of Sexton a little bit. But it seems like, you made points there about him, missing kicks to touch. He doesn't seem to be as creative anymore as he used to be.
He's pushing on a bit, and he's maybe it's a confidence thing. Actually? But I'm just surprised that he looked more creative under Gatland, who played this style that didn't necessarily ask for the creation, than Pivac, who supposedly is meant to play a style which is more creative, but we're not. If anything, he's worse. He's playing worse. Which, maybe it's just temporary and it's a bit of form, and him and Gareth Davies are just not in form at the moment. But maybe then, because of form, is still time for someone else to have a go, because he's pushing on now anyway. So who is next? Yeah,
I don't know. It's a bit of a hard one because I'm a massive fan of Gareth Davies. I think he's been brilliant. Every time he starts, I always do Gareth Davies to score and Wales win is my customary bet every time. But I don't know. He seems to have taken a massive backward step. It used to be just lethal all the time, always sniping, even maybe too much sometimes. And I thought when Webb came back and we had Webb, Thomas Williams, and Gareth Davies, that they were all just gonna raise their game massively. And I don't think they have, especially Gareth Davies. I think he's gone backwards. And he picked Thomas Williams, didn't he, before he got injured in the first game. So I think that sort of set up who his number one was. But the game changed massively when Kieran Hardy comes on. Massive fan of him. The ball was moving so much quicker. And
I think Gareth Davies has been quite poor box kicking of late as well.
His box kicking frustrates me.
Yeah, I think he's taken I think he's sort of slowly slipping into the third choice slot at the moment behind Thomas Williams and Kieran Hardy. I would definitely start Kieran Hardy against England. I know we'll come on to that. And then on Biggar, I don't know, because I think it is a bit of a passing of the guard now, because I think he will slowly introduce Sheedy more and more. I think that's going to be our 10 going forward. But Biggar plays well for Northampton. He does seem to play a bit more open when I've seen him play in club games, but he doesn't seem to do it for Wales. I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
Maybe just the players that have been there. I don't know. He's not used to how they operate in now. Centre partnership's been quite different, maybe, to what he's played with before, and he's just not maybe gelling with them. I don't know.
I think the only thing at the moment that goes in Biggar's favour is his goal kicking, because if Halfpenny's injured, then he'll have to be on to goal kick, because I think that's probably the one thing that Sheedy hasn't got at the moment.
Didn't Sheedy kick 20-something points on the weekend for his team?
Yeah, he did. So that that's what we want to. You want to see him get better at his goal kicking, but that's probably the one thing that Biggar has in his favour at the moment. Because otherwise, I would be tempted to play Sheedy.
That's fair enough. Look, he is experienced. It's a big game against England. Maybe you give him another chance. But I'm just asking that question going forward. Like, is it coming? Biggar, is he on his way?
Oh, yeah.
I think
he's coming.
I think so.
But that's something that's worth discussing. So let us know what you think about that one as well in the comments, because I think that could be quite a divisive one. A lot of people go either way. We won't look too much more at this match then. So Stuart Hogg, I think, had a really good game for Scotland. He scored 2 tries, very dangerous. I think you'd expect that, though. One of the best players probably in the Six Nations and nailed on Lions. Obviously Scotland captain, so he could be in the contention for Lions captain, though I think Gallon probably would go another route there. And Owen Watkins, you already touched on this, but game-saving tap tackle. I think people necessarily didn't think he had the best game overall, but that sort of tackle, it wasn't even just about the tackle, it was about the commitment that he put in to get there to make it as well. Some of the other players had already, you could see, slowed down because they thought, well, I'm not going to get there, it's done. And he makes that tackle and potentially, well, I say potentially, didn't a knock-on result because of an offload because of it. So basically did win the game. So just want to highlight that and shout out what a good impact that was as well. Very important for Wales getting the result in the end. But yeah, another difficult game. Another one where we can't really come out and say Wales are where they are on merit because of the red card situations in both games. People are always going to ask questions and put it down to that fact. So I guess when you look forward to the England game, which we will do in a second, you could say it's time for them to put down a marker and say, okay, no, it is. We do deserve the credit ourselves. It's not just because of the red cards. But before we get there, a couple of the other games from the last round then. So Wales go into second behind France. France did beat Ireland in the last round. That was a tight game as well. And England beat Italy as well, which is probably quite kind of expected. But looking at France, they've had a bit of a COVID outbreak. So 10 players reportedly have come down with COVID, so there's a bit of uncertainty what's going to go on with their game in the next round. I'm not really sure what the rules or anything are around that. I don't know if either of you two viewed anything.
They're going to make a decision on Wednesday, I think, whether they play the game on the weekend or not.
Would it be postponed or just a loss?
I don't know. I think they'd probably postpone it because there's another week break at some point in the 60s. So I'd like to think that they'd... Yeah, so I'd like to think that they just use that gap to play the game, I hope, anyway.
So I guess it depends how much they can get it under control, and if it can go ahead that week, then they'll probably just play a week later. But we'll see on that one. Obviously, just keep your eyes on the news for that one to see what's going to go on. Obviously, that could have an impact on the table. We don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
I think it might depend on... Sorry, I think it might depend on Scotland, though, as well, because are they going to be happy to play in their week break?
They might not have a choice.
They also got to weigh up as well, though. But yeah,
I guess with everything that's going on, you have to make some compromises. So there must be stuff in place because this is a likely outcome, really, with the situation at the moment.
Especially with the travel, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Wales versus England then, the big one, the one we all want to win. And I'll be honest and say it's a big day for me because it's my birthday. So I'm going to be distraught if we don't win. You're literally going to ruin my day. But at the same time, I'm not really optimistic. And I know I've said that all the way through so far. But it comes back to what I just said about can we win on merit, I guess. Just looking at last year, the fixture was quite tight on the scoreline, probably not so much when you actually look at the context of the match. So Wales lost 33-30, but England did have a red card, another red card. England had a red card to Manu Tuolangi in the 72nd minute or around there. At the time, they were already a man down to a yellow card, and so they went down to 13 men for basically the last 8 minutes of the match. Wales managed to pull the score back to 33-30 to I think they scored in overtime, so we didn't have a chance of winning the match. But what I will say is we did score one of the tries of the tournament during that match where we came out after half-time and basically ran from the kick-off, ran a try in with the first passage of play, which kind of sparked hope for what Pivac could bring to the squad, but we haven't really seen it since. So what do we think about this match then? Lee, we'll start with you this time.
I don't want to get too excited because I'm always wrong. So I do think the tide is turning. I think if you asked me at the beginning of the tournament, I would have said England win. all day long. But we got 2 wins under our belt now. And even though we did scrape through, 2 wins are massive. Like it just changes the whole feeling in the camp. Confidence is up. It's 2 wins or 2.
Yeah.
England, I think, have been poor in the 2 games that I've seen them play. They haven't ripped up trees. So I think it's going to be tighter than a lot of people think. Similar to the Scotland game. I think it could go either way. I think we've got a lot of players coming back as well from injury and suspensions or COVID breaches, whatever. We've got a lot of players coming back.
COVID breaches.
So I think, I don't know how to call it now. Literally, like last week, even before the Scotland game, I would have said, England will beat us. But now I'm fancying us. I don't see why we can't. I don't see why we can't do it with everybody coming back and 2 wins under our belt.
Yeah, Alid.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those games again. I think. It's gonna be scrappy either way. But I mean, they did lose to Scotland. Although saying that, looking at the stats, we missed 27 tackles against Scotland, which is slightly concerning. Although it could be worse. To their 6, I gotta say. But I don't know. I think it's just gonna be close, and I think either team has the potential to win it.
I don't think I've ever heard an answer like more sitting on the fence than what you've just said.
I am sitting on the fence, though. I am literally sitting on the fence. As much as I want Wales to win,
It's just the wording. It's just the wording, isn't it? I think either team's got the potential to win it.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, if we do what we did against Scotland and don't show up in the first 10 minutes, put 3 tries over, we're screwed. We're not coming back into that. But I think if we actually show up and, actually maybe go in front straight away, or not straight away, but, get ahead, and I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, it is going to be a tight game. Don't really know what to expect. Like you said, Lee, I think there's a lot of people coming back in. I think Josh Adams will be a big one coming back in. Lee Halfpenny, is he injured for this?
I don't know. I thought so, but I think it's. They said it was a head injury, didn't they? So I'm not sure what it is, but if it's concussion, then he's got a week. Yeah, I think
he's had a few of those, so sometimes it takes him longer to come back, doesn't it, because of his history.
Yeah.
But what I would say on that is I think that could liven up our back line if, regardless if Halfpenny's fit or not, it comes back to whether the goal kicking thing. So if you're going to play Dan Biggar, you don't have to rely on Halfpenny for goal kicking. If you're not going to play Dan Biggar, then I guess you have to. So I would like to see a backline of Liam Williams fullback and Adams and Zammit on the wing, and I think that is a bit exciting. And then I'm not sure exactly who else has come back into contention, but if you've got like Navidi available, I would like to see him obviously return. So at the end of the day, we've got 2 wins, scrappy as they might have been, lucky as they might have been, whatever you want to say. That's got to have done some good for our confidence. And we haven't become a bad team overnight. Literally, you could draw a line from when Gatland left to when Pivacs come in. We look a different sort of team. It's still the same players, a lot of them. So maybe they just needed to remember how to win. And hopefully they'll come out and show that they're still up for a big match like this on Saturday. I think it would be a big miss not having a crowd there. And England being the away team, I think that's going to be a massive advantage to them because there's no hostility. It's a big match, Wales-England, and you say as long as we beat the English and all that sort of thing, but it's not going to necessarily feel like that for the players unless they make that atmosphere themselves. So hopefully they know what it means to the fans and they put a big performance in. And to be honest, I just don't want to get stuffed. I'd love to win, but I just don't want to get stuffed. Because England are going to be looking to bounce back and do better as well because they haven't exactly been hitting the heights that they can hit, which you've mentioned already.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a backlash as well, Nick, because I know a lot of the press have been digging the knife in and they're saying Farrell needs to be dropped and things need to be changed. So I think there is a big performance coming from them probably at some point, but hopefully not. Yeah, well, it's just that sort of thing that happens, isn't it? But
yeah,
are you going to go on to selection now?
Yeah, go into selection now. I sort of already touched on it, so go on to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember at the start of the tournament, I was quite worried about the depth that we've got, especially a centre. now in the space of 2 weeks, I think like we look really strong. I'm struggling to pick the side really because I thought you had Johnny Williams and Jonathan Davies were probably nailed on for 12 and 13. I didn't really like any of the other centre options that we had. I didn't like North in the centre, and I wasn't convinced on Watkin and Tompkins. But I think like George North against Ireland had a great game of 13, so he's got to be in contention.
He's back
I think
available then, is he?
there was a rumour that Jonathan... Yeah, North is back. There's a rumour that Jonathan Davies is going to be fit as well. And Johnny
I saw
Williams
he was pushing for the latter half of the Six Nations, yeah, so whether he'll start or not from not playing much rugby.
And Halaholo played really well, I thought, when he came on, especially trying to play an expansive game. He looked sharp.
He's got to be putting his hand up as well.
6. When I said we didn't have depth in the centre, we've probably got 6 options there now. Realistically, can do a job.
Sometimes forced injury can kind of be a good thing in disguise, isn't it? Like a blessing in disguise. And
definitely.
Especially for the long run. Hopefully now we've got some options, and a selection headache is better because it keeps everyone on their toes and makes them up their game. So
and I think Johnny Williams definitely starts at 12, and I think North starts at 13. Depending on Jonathan Davis's fitness, I think he'll go with that. There's a massive ripple effect with the selection. It's great to have because we look so much stronger. I think. Will he pick Josh Adams straight back in? I think he might. So with that, I think he can't drop Zammit. So then he's got to pick between Halfpenny and Ian Williams, a fullback. And then if he picks Halfpenny, a fullback, then he doesn't have to pick Biggar at 10. Because I think if he doesn't pick Halfpenny, then he has to pick Biggar at 10.
Yeah.
What scrum half does he go with? I think Hardy was really good. I think he deserves a start. So yeah, it's going to be... There's plenty of options now.
Thomas Williams is still out, isn't he? Was it a hamstring?
If it was me, I'd be going Liam Williams a fullback and Zammit and Josh Adams and Biggar at 10 with Hardy at 9 because you've got a combination of experience and sort of fresh blood there, I think.
No, that's fair enough. Alid, what would you like to see? Like, what do you think about the team?
I think I'd like to see Halaholo in for again. Maybe not starting, but I think Lee covered it quite well there. I think there's a lot of depth or potential depth and varying degrees of experience that we can sort of pick from.
Yeah.
I think with the whole, I think Biggar probably needs to start for his experience as 10. Especially against the England, but I wouldn't say no to Callum Sheedy coming on, and I don't think Gareth Davies could start for me. I just don't like him at the moment.
But you didn't want him after the Island game.
I really didn't.
So, that's fair enough.
And I don't know. I'm kind of going back to what we were on earlier. He just seems to have taken a step backwards, and I think we need, the creativity of like Kieran Hardy, and I don't know. The game just picked up pace against Scotland with him on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I don't know. In terms of others, I'd probably take it as it comes. Really.
I got one that might cause a bit of upset, but is it time for him to start drip feeding Alwyn Jones out of the team? Because don't get me wrong, he's probably one of the best players we've ever had, no question. Well, after class leader, whatever you want to say. Well, the thing is, how old is he now? In 30s?
35. Yeah.
I just noticed that. I'll be jumping the gun a bit again, but I've just noticed, especially in the Scotland game, he's given away so many more penalties than he used to. I think he gave away about 4 penalties in that game.
Yeah, he just gave away a few.
He's just not that like Molin game that he loves. Maybe can't do that anymore. And I could be wrong. It's based on 2 games, but can we realistically have like just a retirement tour for him where he just plays every game just for the sake of it because he's got how many caps he's got? Can we afford to do? Because we're going to have to at some point. He's going to either get a massive injury in a minute, and that's the end of his career, or at some point he's going to call it a day. And then what do we do when he's out the squad if we rely on him so much? And I like I quite like Will Rowlands quite a lot. I think he's good. So I think, and I'm not saying drop him, by the way. I'm not saying anything like that. I think maybe bring him off, like 70 minutes. He never comes off. He does give away a lot of. He did give away a lot of penalties.
He did come off in the 71st against Scotland.
I did. There we are. Well, I want to.
Yeah,
I want to see
maybe
that
60
happen.
even. Give someone 20 minutes to make an impact.
He is the most capped player in rugby union.
Yeah, and he's going to extend that record for a few more years by the look of it. But I guess that's why Lee's saying, like, what do we do then? So we need to have a backup, really.
Yeah.
And I don't really know who's next because you don't see it much. I know you've just mentioned someone, but like
I don't actually know
he's never really injured
came
either,
up
so we've never seen who would stand in for him. It's an
No,
interesting
that's
question.
the danger. No. Yeah.
No, that is definitely an interesting point. But again, let us know in the comments. Is Alan Wynne-Jones, is it time for him to be eased out of the Wales squad? And again, it comes back to that changing of the guard, like we mentioned with Biggar and Davies, and maybe there's a couple of others. Maybe Halfpenny won't be too far away, which again is another talking point. But we won't reach on that today. Before we finish, just what we say for the predictions then. For me, I'm going to go with. I don't actually know what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with. Do you know what? I'm going to go with Wales 27, England 25. Just because it's my birthday on the 27th, and I don't want to. Even though my head might say England to win, I just can't say it. Just can't say it. Go on, Lee. What's your prediction?
Look, I actually really do fancy this because I've like talked myself into it now. With like we've got the 2 wins
You
on the
always
board
do
and all the
this.
injuries coming back, so I really do fancy us. But I'm not going to say Wales win because I'm always wrong. So I've been wrong so far. I said Ireland win. I said Scotland win. So I'm going to say England win. Again, if I'm wrong, happy days. But no, I think I don't know. Again, we just don't know what we don't know where Wales are at the moment. And you've got an England side that's got something to prove. It's gonna be a tight game though. I think you're probably right. Probably 2 or 3 points in there, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna edge it to England just because if we win, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I'll be having to have like a couple of pairs of underwear if it's that tight at the end of the games, I think. No, I'm joking. Aled.
I'm gonna go a close game, but I'm gonna say something around the marks of 21-18 to Wales.
We're going for a Wales win as well. But I hope we're right, to be honest, because, yeah, I hate losing to England. But, you know, it's what it is. If it happens, we'll have to deal with that as it comes. But, yeah, thanks, guys, then. So, probably been a bit shorter this week, but we tried to get everything in as much as we could. Obviously, we'll have more to discuss after the game. I think it'll be another weekend off. So, we'll see where we can fit it in around the other football stuff that we've got coming up too. And obviously, if things go a little bit back to normal with the restrictions, things might change with people's schedules. So obviously we'll keep everyone up to date. So keep up to date with our Twitter to catch everything that we are doing. And as always, subscribe to the channel to keep notifications on for everything we're doing. And if you enjoy, leave a like and engage in the comments as well to let us know your opinions. Thanks for watching, and we shall see you again next time. So thank you all.
Cheers.
See you soon.